Welcome to today's week that was. This was the week when JP Morgan settled to the tune of $330 million with Malaysia in relation to the 1MDB saga, a saga that saw a number of criminals steal $4.5 billion from a state sovereign wealth fund. The Swiss regulators also fined JP Morgan in this connection with $3.7 million. Goldman Sachs settled to the tune of $3.9 billion with Malaysia. And the former Malaysian Prime Minister Najib Razak was jailed. A chance perhaps to reflect on the nature of fraud, and in particular the fraud triangle. There are three elements to the fraud triangle. Opportunity, which is something that as internal auditors we're very good at looking at. In other words, fraud related preventative and detective controls. Motivation, which perhaps is a subject for another day. But I'd like to invite you to consider rationalization. An awful lot of people connected with 1MDB rationalized in their brain that what they were doing was appropriate from a conduct perspective. Could we marry the worlds of rationalization and controls together and perhaps start to look for key controls that influence the way people rationalize behavior and perhaps start to convince themselves that stealing $4.5 billion from a state is not a good thing? This was also the week that saw ANZ invite 150 employees to hand in their laptops. Why? Well, because these employees were being laid off. But the first that these employees knew that they were being laid off was when they received this email. Now, obviously, this was down to an administrative error, but it is a chance for us to reflect on the way we welcome employees and the way we say goodbye to employees. An organization's reputation, but also an organization's culture, is heavily impacted by the ceremony and rituals of saying goodbye. And saying goodbye to somebody by saying hand in your laptop perhaps is suboptimal. I'd like to end by giving you a date for your diary. Friday the 26th of September. If you are in London or London is within easy reach, it's a chance to book your place on our Audit of Culture course. This is a course that looks not only at the topical requirements on organisational behaviour, but also looks at best practices in terms of managing behavioural risk, looks at best practices in terms of frameworks associated with culture, and looks at key related controls and other audit and risk management practices. Hope to see you there. Have a peaceful weekend. Thank you very much.